You know, in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, fear just wasn't really a thing. But on this day, you could feel it in the air. For the first time in, well, centuries, the most powerful beings in the entire universe were staring at a problem out in the cosmic boondocks that they just couldn't wrap their minds around.
It all kicked off with a pretty chilling announcement from Ambassador Crix. 3 of his people's scout fleets had just vanished. Not just a ship here or there, but entire fleets gone. No distress call, no wreckage, not a single clue.
So that's the billion critic question, right? Every single scrap of data, every flight path, it all pointed to one tiny, insignificant corner of the galaxy, a place called Earth, home to a species that, let's be honest, had barely figured out how to leave their own planet. How on earth could they be behind all this?
And this is where the story gets really strange. Because it wasn't just the ambassador's fleets. A pattern was starting to take shape. And it was a pattern that made absolutely no sense. It was happening to some of the most advanced civilizations out there, and the one thing they all had in common? They were all snooping around this weird little anomaly called Earth.
I mean, look at this list. We're talking about the best of the best. The Collective's bioships, literal living vessels that are almost impossible to detect. The Void Watcher's stealth ships, so quiet they could fly through the corona of a star without anyone noticing. It didn't matter how advanced you were. You got too close to Earth, and you were gone.
The final number was just staggering. Over 100 vessels, from 7 completely different civilizations, all just blinked out of existence in the exact same tiny sector of space. This wasn't bad luck. This was systematic. This was a hunt.
And then, just as the panic was hitting its peak, the anomaly spoke. A message was broadcast on every single known frequency in every single language spoken at the council. These so-called primitives, they knew they were being watched. And somehow they'd learned to speak everyone's language.
The answer was hanging right there in Earth's orbit, a massive, sprawling space station that had been built in a matter of weeks. But the truly terrifying part was what it was made of. It was a Frankenstein's monster of tech, Vidian stealth, Iron Claw weapons, Void Watcher plating. It was all there. The humans hadn't just captured the ships, they had reverse-engineered them and built something new, something better.
So, to figure out how this was even possible, the Council did the only thing it could. They tracked down the few survivors, the ones who'd been captured and somehow let go, and brought them in to testify. They needed to know what they had seen.
And what these survivors had to say? Well, it painted this chilling picture. It showed a species that could counter every single advantage thrown at them. They beat superior stealth with clever tactics. They defeated alien biology with deep analysis. And they met overwhelming firepower by turning their enemies' own weapons against them, only better.
The Vidian Scout story was just humbling. Their state-of-the-art stealth ships, completely invisible to every known sensor in the galaxy, were picked up by a laughably primitive human tech called radar. The humans just used frequencies no one had bothered with for centuries, and then they completely outmaneuvered the Vidians in combat. It was a total shock.
But the Collective's experience? This might be the most unnerving part of the whole story. The humans didn't need to torture them for information. They just talked. They called it pattern recognition and aggressive negotiation. They basically used conversation as a weapon, and within a few hours, they knew everything: language, tech, military strategy, the whole shebang.
And the last bit of testimony was an intercepted human communication that sent a cold wave of dread through the entire council. Phase 1 complete. Everything that had happened so far, capturing over 100 ships, building a superstation, that was just the warm-up act. They had a bigger plan.
So, what was this plan? What was the secret that allowed humanity to make this insane technological leap, seemingly overnight? Well, the answer isn't some secret technology. It's a method, a process.
See, humanity's secret weapon wasn't magic. It was a brutally efficient system. Step 1. Capture. Get your hands on as much different alien tech as possible. 2. Analyze. Take it apart and find out what's wrong with it. 3. Combine. Mix and match the best parts from totally different systems. And finally, step 4. Improve. Use their own brand of engineering to make it all work together better than it ever did before.
And the results of this method? They were absolutely spectacular. They took Iron Claw plasma cannons and boosted their efficiency by 30%.
They jury-rigged 3 different kinds of FTL drives together and made something 10 times faster. Their new stealth tech was now completely immune to the very alien sensors it was based on. So armed with this incredible new arsenal of hybrid technology and a deep understanding of their enemies' weaknesses, humanity was finally ready. Phase 2 was about to start. They were done playing defense. It was time to go on the attack.
And their first move wasn't just some big, dumb assault. It was a brilliant, coordinated 3-pronged strike. Each target was chosen for a very specific reason. These weren't just attacks. They were surgical strikes designed to systematically dismantle their opponent's ability to wage war.
And here's the really clever part. They didn't use the same tactic for each one. For the Vidian Science Station, it was quiet, surgical infiltration. For the heavily armed Ironclaw base, it was precision strikes targeting structural weak points. And for the Collective's hive mind, they used psychological cyber warfare, a virus that didn't delete data, it just introduced chaos and doubt.
With the success of Phase 2, the message was sent, loud and clear. When humanity finally arrived at the Galactic Council, they didn't come as a primitive species begging for a seat at the table. They arrived as a new galactic power, and they were there to dictate terms.
Their opening argument was just pure, uncut audacity. They didn't apologize for taking the technology. Oh no, they basically said they were doing the galaxy a favor, because, frankly, the original tech was full of flaws.
That one line, from their science advisor Dr. Lim Hay, just shattered centuries of galactic arrogance. You have very low standards for perfection. And then she proceeded to show them, with excruciating detail, all the design flaws and inefficiencies in their so-called perfect technology.
So what was humanity's real secret? It wasn't just a method. It was their history. Their security chief put it perfectly. Humanity's entire existence has been one long, brutal conflict. While the rest of the galaxy got comfortable and stagnant, humans spent thousands of years fighting each other, forcing this relentless cycle of innovation. For them, it was simple: innovate or die. War wasn't just something they learned, it's what made them who they are.
And that led to their final proposal, which, let's be real, wasn't so much a proposal as it was a statement of fact, a choice. You can work with us as equals, share in our discoveries, or you can work against us and find out what happens when you underestimate humanity for a second time.
The humans left the council chamber after that, leaving a shattered galactic order in their wake. The age of comfortable stagnation was officially over. A new power, forged in fire and driven by a relentless need to be better, had arrived. And it leaves the rest of the galaxy, and us, with one final, chilling question. In a universe where the hunters have suddenly become the hunted, what happens next?